Ready? Welcome back. It is another episode of that Josh and Bailey show. I am Josh.
I'm Bailey.
A lot happened this week, but I learned something very disturbing about someone I know. This person I feel very deeply for. I'm very sorry that this person didn't know this, but yeah.
So earlier this week, my girlfriend Cass was here, and we were kind of talking about like the whole Diddy situation.
Oof.
And a couple names got brought up, with it being Beyonce and Jay-Z. And she'd asked me, it's like, Beyonce, right? And I was like, yeah,
Yeah, Beyonce.
Beyonce and Jay-Z. And she looks at me and she's like, who? I'm like, what? Like, what are you, like, what? It's like, Jay-Z, what's that?
Oh.
And I was like, I'm kind of looking at her. I'm like, are you being serious right now? Like, you don't know who Jay-Z is?
Whoa.
Well, so I was like, there's no way. Like, she's got to be messing with me. Stone cold face, like, dead serious.
And Cass don't really like mess around. Like if she's gonna, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, she wasn't messing around. Did not know who Jay-Z was. So I was so dumbfounded. I went out. My grandparents were in the living room, and I was like, Cass just told me that she did not know who Jay-Z was.
And they both knew?
Well, they both knew, like, of him.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, they're older, so it's like Jay-Z's not, their type of music or anything either. I was like Jay-Z and Beyonce are like A-list celebrities. And my grandma was like, I don't know if Jay-Z would be an A-list celebrity. And
Huff, man. He's Huff. Like, come on.
Oh my gosh.
444.
So
Bro.
yeah, that was.
Did you show her a picture of him?
Yeah, I did.
And she still didn't?
No. I was like, the one prominent feature of Jay-Z that everybody kind of knows would be the lips, right? Yep. And she was like, no, like, I've never seen that man before.
I would have been like, ugh. That's who's with
kinda,
Beyonce?
Yeah, I was like,
bro, that's horrible. Like, not horrible. Jeez.
I think it's horrible that she didn't know
Kaz,
who
I'm
Jay-Z
not
was.
laughing at you. I'm just laughing because
He's laughing at you.
I did not know there were people that don't know who Jay-Z was.
Right. I was.
It's these 2000s kids, bro. It's these 2000s kids.
Right.
They just don't know.
I just don't know.
They just don't know anything. But so there was, so there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot that went on this week. One big thing was the JD Tim Walz thing. Mm-hmm. Did you watch any of it?
No.
You're such a knucklehead. I didn't watch any of it either. I watched like 5 minutes of it, but that's about it.
I don't really have interest. I don't care about the vice presidents.
But my dad, I don't either. But my dad said he liked it because it was an actual debate. I don't know if he, obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know his reactions to everything. But yeah, and I was like, okay, that's true. Like, I mean, it's an actual debate. It's not just a screaming match back and forth, which I think is part of politics now.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'm watching these commercials of Kamala and I'm watching these commercials of Trump, and I'm just looking at the things that they say on social media. It's just like, dude, what are you, 5?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Like middle school insults.
Well, yeah. Like, you're running the greatest country on earth. If you don't think America's the greatest country on earth,
Wrong.
You're wrong. Just dead wrong. Like, everybody in the world wants to be here unless they're maybe like in the UK. But I would even say that they like it here.
Yeah.
The one thing we do worse, though, is what? Politics.
Politics are bad. Yep.
It's just like, it's just gross, dude. It's just not like something that I want to talk about anymore. Not like I don't want, obviously I love talking about it, but like it's not something that I want to be an issue anymore, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah.
Because it's really like a popularity contest. And
yeah, we're closing in on the election. What is it, November 5th?
34 days away. Big Red told me it's like 34 days away. So
we're closing that in.
Yeah.
A lot of it's getting pretty gross, like you said, like the commercial wise. It was heated before, but like it's getting nitty gritty. Like, it's getting pretty bad.
I am so and so, and I approve this message. Like, obviously you do, you idiot. They're paying you to.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Oh, dude, money. You want to talk about? You want to talk about what's wrong with politics? Talk about money.
Oh yeah.
Talk about money.
Well, have you seen like the Have you heard like the Pelosi stuff with like the insider trading?
Yes, and how her husband sold like 24 hours before it just
Is that
tanked.
Microsoft?
I don't know.
I
What
can't
it
remember.
was. It was
Yeah,
one of the big ones that made like
But,
$20 million.
The greatest investors in the world are the Pelosi's.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Absolutely.
Well,
They just
okay.
don't get it
Riddle
wrong.
me this, Riddler. The president of the United States makes $400,000 a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are these senators and representatives making hundreds of millions of dollars? Like, yeah, I get it. You have an outside job, but like, come on, dude. Like,
Oh, definitely not insider trading. They just don't get it wrong at all, ever once in their entire lives of being politicians.
and it's not just one of them. It's like a buttload of them. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying it. You're not saying it. The FBI, who's watching me, CIA, wherever you are,
We're saying
KGB.
it. We're saying it.
That's all I gotta say about that.
So staying kind of in that realm, politics wise, I kind of want to talk about an issue I ran into this week.
Oh,
So I was at work, stopped for lunch. My coworker and I went into Subway.
yeah.
Both get a foot long, no big deal. Like a Subway foot long sandwich now is like $17.
$17
$17.
for a sandwich.
Yeah.
Was it made of gold?
No. And the worst thing is, so like the biggest thing with Subway when you go in is like watching your sandwich be made, right?
Bro.
They hide
my.
they hide the meat. They don't show you like the meat anymore. Like
They want you to see that sausage.
So I want to talk about two things. Inflation versus price gouging.
Oh.
So we hear a lot about inflation since COVID. Inflation's rose. Came back down quite a bit, but we're still seeing high prices on
Everything.
everything. You know.
Everything.
Subway was just an example, but
It's a real problem.
What is it like right now? Like, are we looking at like the inflation from the last couple of years? Are we looking at like companies taking advantage of that and like just full on price gouging?
Yes and no. I mean, yeah. I mean, no. Like the first thing I thought of when you said price gouging is rent. Think about rent. When I was in college, or at least like trying to live on my own or whatnot, like you could get a studio for like $1,000. You could get, a one bed for maybe 14, whatnot. But now it's like rent for 2 bedrooms is dang near close to $2,100.
Mm-hmm.
Like a one bed is at least $1,800. Like I know a guy, last year his rent was like 17,000 for a one bed with a den, and then
17,000 or 1,700?
1,700. Oh yeah, jeez, yeah. If you're paying that much, you better be a millionaire. But no. And so then his lease was up, and they were gonna charge him $300 more to stay in that apartment. Yeah, $300. And then so he moved out to a smaller apartment for saving $300, and he saved maybe like $200 off the top. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why is that the situation that we're in? Like I get, yeah, the buildings of businesses want to make money, like, and it's everywhere too, like cars, grocery stores, gas stations, like they all want to make money. Like nobody's doing this stuff for free.
Right. I think another big one's like oil, gas.
Well, yeah,
fuel.
exactly. Yes, like the prices of gas determine how happy people are. Like they'll come in to work and they'll say, "Oh man, I couldn't believe it. Gas was almost $4." Where it's like, okay, you're still gonna pay it. It's just a matter like, and that's I think what drives price gouging is that a big company knows they're going to pay for it wherever we land on prices. Like it doesn't matter if it's $9 for gas. It doesn't matter if it's $2 for gas. Like if you have a job or if you have places to be, you will pay $9 for gas.
There's a company, I don't know if it was like Target or I don't know, but they kind of like admitted to price gouging. Like they cut costs down a lot on like certain products.
Yeah.
Saying that like that's where it should have been, but they just like kept prices up, and there really wasn't like a reason behind it.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, kind of my thing is like we looked at inflation, like I said, especially over COVID,
Yeah.
and it was it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was hard to live.
Yeah.
And then, kind of probably 2.5, 3 years removed from like the end of COVID.
Get your vaccine.
Get your head right.
High V.
But now kind of being off like the COVID economy, but the economy's still
It's in
terrible condition. But yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion just to see like where people are at, if we're still gonna be blaming inflation, or if we're gonna start looking at like these big companies being like, you are making way too much money on products that you're selling at 400%.
Yes. Well, did you notice how if you have a home, you're buying more homes, and if you don't have a home, you'll never be able to buy one? Like, think about it like this. Yeah. Like, if I go to, let's say, so we live in Minnesota, right? So if you're from Minnesota, you will get this. If you're not from Minnesota, I'll try to dumb it down. But if you go to Minnetonka, or if you go to Eden Prairie,
yep,
the way of life there, the prices there are higher, but across the board, it's better quality.
Right.
And I think that's part of the price gouging, where it's like there's such a gap between higher middle class and lower middle class that it's literally just like this red line that says, okay, if you make X amount of money, you'll be fine. If you make $1 less than that, you're going to die. And I feel like that's where price gouging really affects us, because a $17 sandwich to someone who makes $240,000 a year isn't a big deal. Right. But a $17 sandwich to someone who's making minimum wage, that's like a night out type dinner,
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, society is crazy.
So moving off kind of
the sad
real
stuff.
World.
The sad. Being an adult.
Right.
It gets better. It does get better. Don't be led astray. It does get better.
Getting into the sports world, Davante Adams
is a whiny little. No, I'm just kidding.
Likely to be traded. Yeah. Sounds like his camp informed the Raiders that he would prefer to be traded.
Gentleman's honor. Prefer.
So this comes after, I believe, week 3. After the game, I think I had mentioned this in the last pod about Antonio Pierce saying that there were certain players that were making their own business decisions and that the Raiders were going to make business decisions moving forward. Fast forward to week 4. This past week, we've seen Davante Adams and Max Crosby out with injuries, so they say. Davante Adams already being ruled out with a hamstring injury. But also earlier last week, Coach Pierce liking an Instagram post.
Oh my gosh.
About Davante possibly playing his last down as a Raider in week 3. So brings up the question is, where are the most likely spots for Davante to get traded? I think there's one major one that nobody would be surprised, being the Jets teaming up with his old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers.
His Palpatine invader, baby.
But outside of the Jets, where would be the most likely landing spots for Davante? Because I know I know people are saying, because like right now with Rashee Rice being on IR, possibility of him going to the Chiefs, but I mean, divisional rival, that's probably not a likely spot.
Super Bowl,
right? The Raiders aren't going to help them win a Super Bowl.
No.
So
they still have to face him twice.
Right. So where would you see Davante going?
Like Davante.
He did make that post today too. That Edgar Allan Poe post. So possibly a Raven.
Yeah, hey, you're reading my mind, bro. That was actually going to be my pick, because I was going through all 32 teams. I do it the Madden way. I started with the Bears, and then I go down to the Vikings.
Yep. And
I got to, a quarter way to the Bees, and I was like, oh, yeah, Baltimore. I like Baltimore.
Yep.
I do like Baltimore, but the problem with Baltimore is they're still trying to find themselves. Okay, right. Let's be honest. They
could he help identify that team, though?
Yes and no. I mean, Zay Flowers, you kind of suck. Rashad Bateman, you're underperforming. So, yeah, he would plug in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
he'd get a lot of touches.
Yeah, he would. And that's the other thing, though, is Harbaugh gonna, sign Derrick Henry to pair up with that running game with Lamar and then throw the ball. Yeah, force feed Devontae. I don't know. Another team that I thought of, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is an obvious one.
Pittsburgh's an obvious one. You see it a lot with like young quarterbacks. Get them a number one, and most of the time it works out. Mm-hmm. Another team that kind of just flashed into my head, Detroit. Yes and no. I mean, it's a good team for. It's a good matchup for Devontae just because they're a good team. He's obviously at this point in his career trying to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They're there. It just doesn't make sense from a logistic point. Yes and no. That wide receiver room would get crowded very fast.
Yeah.
You'd have a lot of pick-me type guys, and I think you stay away from
contracts with like St. Brown.
Yeah. And then you got J-Mo, who's probably going to get another one. You've got, obviously, Jameer, who's going to get one down the road. David Montgomery, if you want to pick him back up. Laporta.
Mitchell just showed the Saints going back with Derek Carr since he got about half a season worth of his best friend being his quarterback. I have two. One's like an actual kind of like serious pick, and then my second one is like a very outlandish, but with the right package would be dangerous. My first one, my true pick that I do like would be Washington.
Oh yes, dude! I thought of that, but it didn't make sense in my head.
So
I'm like, dude, it's such a young team, dude.
Yes, my reasoning for that is we all know Terry McLaurin is a dog. But certified. With like the quarterback situation years prior in Washington, a lot of coaching changes. McLaurin had to work around a lot in that offense.
Yeah, he had Heineke. He's had a different starting quarterback every year of his career.
But Jaden Daniels coming in, leading the NFC East.
Leading the league, dude. He's a top dog. He's one of the top dogs, dude.
I think, what was it, through first
passer
4 games?
Percentage and I think passer rating.
Yeah, he had like the most through first 4 career starts at like 82 points something.
Breaking records.
Percentage.
Not just rookie records either, like league records. Yeah.
And
LSU grown.
The reason that I like that is not just Devontae going to that team and immediately making that receiver core better, but giving McLaurin more opportunities to be his true self.
Yeah, open him up, let him eat. I like that pick too. NFC East is in peril.
Yeah, if Jaden Daniels is going to be...
Oh, I love it. Dude, the LSU boys, I'm telling y'all, Bama gets the accolades, but the LSU boys, raw talent, built different. Give me, dude, Neighbors, LSU. Chase, LSU. Burrow, LSU. JJ, LSU. Daniil Hunter, LSU. Dude, I could keep going. Pat P, LSU.
Got some dogs.
Dogs. Certified. Stingley, dog.
My second pick.
Delpit, dog.
My second pick is the outlandish pick, but could we possibly see a receiver swap along probably with a pick of Devontae Adams going to the San Francisco 49ers? That would be league breaking.
For Ayuk?
Ayuk could probably a pick because Ayuk has not panned out. He got paid with the whole.
I don't.
That's the reason I said outlandish. But Ayuk just not panning out. He for getting paid as a top receiver in this league does not have the stats. Not really like. I mean, even like Debo is kind of. They're starting off slow. McCaffrey being injured is a huge hit to that offense. But could we see a type of package where, Vegas gets a receiver who has proven to be good, along with a pick to get a certified star in Devontae Adams, plugging him into that offense, allowing guys like Debo to run around and do his thing, allowing Mason to get the run game going until McCaffrey comes back, opening up George Kittle to get more involved in the passing game. I know it's more of an outlandish pick since San Fran is good, but it's out of conference. You don't have to see them. You're only trading them however many miles away. Devontae stays in California close to home.
John Lynch does like stars.
Like I said, outlandish, but at the same time, it's something that
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an ugly fit. It's almost like a settling pick or a settling trade where it's like, yeah, we shopped him around. We couldn't find anything. Here you go. Like one of those, where it's like, okay, we'll take him. Like, we'll get him off your shoulders. Like, whatever. I mean, not terribly outlandish. Like, I mean, if you would have said like, oh, send it back to Green Bay, then I'd been like, okay, be like, come on.
Okay,
get your head checked. But
I don't think like right now. I don't.
he
think
would
I'd
probably
want
just
him.
sit. He'd be like, I don't want to play here.
Right. I don't think I'd want him back just because like we talked about in the last podcast. It's like finding like a young group to grow with each other. Where we saw it like in Devontae's last year in Green Bay, Rodgers just force feeding him the ball. It's like for every
my arm.
right for every 5-6 Devontae targets, one receiver like Randall Cobb got like one. You'd see maybe Lazard get a couple in there, and then it's just like, all right, we know where you're going. It's Devontae 9 times out of 10. I don't want to see that.
And they didn't run the ball or they didn't run the clock.
Yeah,
Idiots.
So sad.
Could have been a Super Bowl.
But
Real quick, throw it out there. Seahawks. Seahawks.
wouldn't be bad. But that's already a crowded receiver room.
Seahawks.
What are you gonna do? You gonna trade like JSN for Devontae? You get like 2 years of Devontae. Probably.
You trade Ty Lockett and Charbonnet with a 2. Pair it with a 2.
Yeah, maybe a 3.
Ty Lockett, a 2, and the next year's 3.
Okay.
Or a 26-3.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if you're in win now mode, like if you're just like fully competing and you need to make a move, yeah, I'd like that.
So there was some shakeup in the standings. But let's go OTB. Let's go on the bench. Who did you have on the bench this week? Who is an underperformer for you this week?
So I have 3 nominees. My first one being Brees Hall.
Oh, gee.
Oh,
You're
geez.
supposed to.
Oh,
Okay. You didn't just hear that.
Okay. Brees Hall. Brees Hall. We're seeing a lot of Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
A lot. I love it.
Oh,
being,
man.
Wisconsin.
That guy's awesome.
He is awesome. He's huge.
20.
20.
Not even,
He's-
I think he's like barely 20.
Yeah. And he's fucking massive. So Brees just not getting like any touches, so I don't know how much it's on him. But still, I mean, you are the starting star running back. Another Jet that I have for nominee is Garrett Wilson.
Whoa.
The Jets' offense looked terrible against Denver.
Can we just put the Jets on the bench? Because
Into
I
the
want
Jets
to put
team.
Raj on there too.
Oh yeah, we could throw that whole team. Even that defense did not perform.
Salah
super
on
well,
that team
but,
too.
Yeah.
All right, OTB of the week. New York Super Jets. New York super terrible bad stink Jets.
Yep. And then my third one for week 4, which I am already going to take him off the bench for week 5, is Kyle Pitts. I think he saw 3 targets, didn't catch a ball. Week 4, didn't do anything. Where he is, I don't even know if you want to call him a decoy out there.
No.
But ended up having a pretty.
No, maybe a little bit because London Drake did good.
Yeah.
Or what's
Drake
his name?
London.
Drake London. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
But-
get that mixed up.
You know, Thursday night game, had a nice little game, kind of getting back into what Kyle Pitts should be.
Yeah.
So I'm
Dude,
gonna,
he's a wideout.
I'm already going to take. He was my a nominee for week 4. I'm already going to take him off the bench for next week.
My nominee that I'm taking off the bench, Taylor's boyfriend. He is not as bad as he was the first 2 weeks. That $100 million is out of his head. He's back. He's back to tip-top shape. Pat Mahomes and his best friend, Taylor's boyfriend, they're going to be the best of friends again. It's going to work. It's going to mesh. I love it. KC with a dub. Got it done.
Yeah.
In Pat Mahomes' 12th, down by 10, dub, undefeated. Greatest.
So just a quick recap. I think just a couple games from last week that we'll highlight. Starting off with Monday night between the Seahawks. and
Great
the Lions.
game.
Great
dude.
game.
Told you.
That was a fun game.
Take the over. What did I say the over was going to be? Dude, I'll have to check that. Because I think the over was
I think
dang
it's
close
like
to what
50
I
or
said.
60.
Yeah, it was dang close to what I said. So
Yeah, that was a fun game. Detroit, I think, still showing that they're a top dog. Seattle being undefeated. Giving them their first loss of the year. Detroit showing, their true true selves.
Yes.
Being able to get in the red zone and actually score some touchdowns.
Yeah. No.
I think my favorite play was the hook and ladder to Junior.
Oh.
That was beautiful.
I saw it, dude. I saw it right when they snapped that ball. I knew it because I saw JG run out, and I was like, "Ooh, it's coming, baby! It's coming! Give him that rock!" And I told my dad, and I was like, "It's up!" And then, boop, in the basket, dub. David Montgomery, yes, sir.
Running
Welcome back to the
over.
game. Welcome back to the game, dude. Ja, I'm sorry, but David, he's cooking.
Those Lions uniforms looked
Aiden.
beautiful under the lights.
I didn't like the blue helmets at first, but then after I saw him in the game, dude, top tier.
Yeah.
Best team on. See, my problem was I was cheering for whoever had the ball. So I was cheering for Detroit a lot more than I was cheering for Seattle.
Fair weather fan.
And
Whoever's winning this game is who I'm rooting for.
I'm still hey. I was there when Seattle was bad.
26 out of the 32
I was there when
teams are my
Earl
favorite
Thomas was
teams.
flipping off Pete. I was there when Richard Sherman left to go to San Francisco. I was there when Cam couldn't get right. I was there when Michael Bennett was getting in fights. I was there when they should have ran the ball.
Were you
I was
there?
I was there.
But
I was there.
were you there during
I actually
0-16?
I was there. I watched Drew Lock play against the Seahawks. So I was there.
So the other game that we'll quickly go over, maybe a little bit more time on it, but was the Minnesota Vikings getting the dub at Lambeau against the Packers. My initial reaction, I hate you. My initial reaction to that game.
This is why you got to have a lot of favorite teams. So you can just rub it in everybody's face.
But my initial reaction was like, it was a tale of two halves for sure. Minnesota came out dominant, absolutely, just a punch in the mouth. 28 rip.
Nothing.
Yep.
Off the rip, off the jump.
And then right before half, Green Bay getting a muffed, or kind of just like a over the head, but Jalen
It's in the sun.
In the sun. Able to score. Actually, did you watch the game at all?
I watched all of it. I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing.
When the Packers recovered that muff on, I think, like the 3-yard line.
Yep. And it was down.
Immediately after, LaFleur gets an unsportsmanlike, backing them up to the, I think, 18. I think it's a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah. What an idiot. What a dummy. What a whiny little diva.
Oh, yeah. In a situation like that, like, what are you doing? Luckily enough, I believe the next play, Love threw a beautiful ball to Jaden Reed, who came down with a great catch to make it 28-7 before half. Then Green Bay came out in the second half firing.
Smokey the Bear, there's a fire we need to put out. Pissed on it.
But will you agree that like the Vikings did not look good in the second half at
No,
all?
I would disagree with that.
They looked
I would
terrible.
disagree.
Outside of, I think, one
Okay.
drive. They did.
Okay.
They looked terrible. How are you going to get outscored 29-3.5 like that?
Okay, Aaron Jones doesn't, he gets in.
I'm not
Sam
blaming this on
Darnold
the
doesn't
players.
throw that pick, gets in, over. Game is
Which
over.
that, I will say, though, that pick, that was not a
That
pick.
No, it wasn't. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, I will admit that. He was rolling. And
Oh, the Vikings played so bad. No, the Vikings got
I'm not
screwed
saying-
again in Green Bay.
No.
In Green Bay.
No.
Screwed.
I'm blaming it on
If I could
coaching.
moon you, I would.
That's fine. But I'm blaming it on coaching.
Yeah, B-Flow kind of took his foot off the gas.
Well,
and
And another one, I think when they were on offense, I think they were still up 2 scores, was when they were trying their absolute hardest.
to get AJ the tutty.
Aaron Jones a touchdown. They end up turning the ball over on downs. The Packers go
Yeah.
down within a minute, score a touchdown.
That I don't blame. That you got to look around the league. Look around the league and you'll see that a lot. You play a prevent defense, you play a 2-man over, and that's mostly just damage control. Because once you get them into the red zone, if you can keep them to 3, it's no problem. Which I think is what they did ultimately. I think they kept you 3 because you tried
No,
it.
we scored a touchdown.
Did you score a touchdown on that one? Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, 'cause we only
it was
lost by
across
2.
the it was across the Musgrave, wasn't it, or was
Kraft.
it? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Kraft.
one of the white guys.
Yeah, because then he scored the 2-point conversion.
So then, I don't blame it on coaching. Yes, it was coaching. B-Flow took his foot off the gas, but you're gonna see that around the league. Damage control, kill clock, keep them in, get to the red zone, play good defense, run a little bit more blitz, get a bit more aggressive. If you miss, you miss. Mm-hmm. If you're in that situation, more than likely you're up by at least a score, if not two. Mm-hmm. Do I think it's a great idea? Not really, but then you also have to look at what you're playing with. You've got 32-year-old or 35-year-old Harrison Smith, 34-year-old Steph Gilmore. You got 29-year-old Shaq. You got Byron Murphy, who's not old, but there's
still kind of questionable.
Yeah,
like, he's
questionable.
A good corner, just not like a great corner.
And it's one of those situations where it's like you still see the kinks in the armor where Minnesota isn't as good as their record says, but they are a good team. So I don't take away what happened in the last quarter in the second half. I don't take that away from their victory. More or less, that's the type of game I would have expected to begin with. Is something
right. But it was definitely a tale of two halves.
Yeah, it was. I'll give you that. It was a tale of two halves. Should I think it have been that close? No. Game 2 won't be that close. So take what you want. Take your moral victory. So you beat us in the second half. Guess who beat you 4 quarters?
But here's one thing I will say. If you take pride in one-legged Jordan Love putting up like almost 400 yards. He had 3 picks, which I think coming back, it's like weird. Like you haven't played in 3 weeks, and you're kind of just like trying to sling the ball around. But like his throws were off,
dude.
Bad.
Oh, you're okay. I was about ready to flame you, but
no.
Jordan Love, a lot of rust, a lot of rust.
He settled in though. Like towards the end, I know he had that.
He was piecing it together.
Yeah.
See, the thing though with him, once he was playing like under the fly, like just go.
He didn't have to think
money. No, he was money.
Yep.
And that thing about Dallas, when they just let him, they're like, hey, go do what you want.
Yep.
Money. I think that's his game. Gets it from Raj, gets him from Favre. Mm-hmm. I hate it, but it's fun to watch.
The gunslinger. But then
gunslinger.
So on the other side though, being without our top 2 corners,
Ja
sucks. But then also
Stokes.
No, Stokes was in.
Stokes.
Yeah, but he did kind of get
save though.
But Carrington Valentine was another rough one. Him being out this week. I like Valentine.
Yeah, where them dogs at? Where's Rashawn? Huh? Where's Kenny? Huh?
Yeah.
Where them dogs? Where's
Where
Quay?
are they?
Quay actually got a sack, so.
He did.
But where them dogs at? Keyshawn got a sack too. Where them dogs at? Huh? Huh, Bailey? Huh?
Dude, you're asking the wrong guy. I've been looking for him the entire year because I think Rashawn Gary's last sack came like 10 games ago.
I don't think I should be the only one beating down on you right now, though. You are in a very weak state. You are in a very, very unstable place. Mm. It is okay to be in a hostile environment talking about the Packers. But I do have a friend of yours as well, who would like some say in the matter. Please welcome, for the first time, Mr. minus Mrs. because Paige is at home, Mitchell Nord. Get over here, you crazy hooligan.
Hey, let me get out.
So I do want to say something. Mitchell, I'll take a little bit more offense to because he is actually like a full-on Vikings fan and he's been through a lot. I'm not going to take any flack from somebody who roots for the team who's up at any given point. So don't worry, I don't take anything from him. He knows he's a Lions fan. So
yeah, I'm not.
I thought you were gonna mute my mic.
I'm not one of them. Not one of them fake fans.
I
I'm a
should have,
Vikings
dude.
fan
I
through
should
and through.
have.
So
What's wrong with you? I'm on your side. What do you mean?
Yeah, but are you even on my side? Or are you
I am on your
just,
side.
are you
I'm
just
on your
waiting-
left side.
Are you just waiting for us to be bad again?
Okay, fine. You want the dog? I'll give you the dog.
You're just waiting for us to be bad again so you can rip on us
it.
again.
Come see me. Wait,
So
It's all right.
keeping the.
Come see me week 7, guy.
I will.
Well, how's Hawk doing?
He'll be back
He
for
was
week
out
7.
on the field today.
He'll
Big
be-
Red told me he was
he'll
out on
be
the
back
field
for
today.
week
They're turning on each other.
Oh
They're turning on each other.
Gosh. Hey,
This is
you-
where-
Let's get this guy.
So keep
Let's
it.
get out.
Staying on the Vikings.
Jerk.
Staying on the Vikings. So 4-0. How does that feel coming off an off season where you guys got rid of Kirk, you guys got rid of Danielle Hunter, free agent acquisitions have been absolutely amazing. Drafting a quarterback in the first round, out for the season, bringing in Sam Darnold on a 1-year, $10 million deal. What are your thoughts and like what your expectations were and how you're feeling now.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, as a diehard Vikings fan, my entire life, like we always say, if you are in Minnesota and have been around Minnesota Vikings fans, we say every year that it's our year. We're gonna win the Super Bowl this year, and for the first time in my life this year, I was fully expecting us to be like
Terrible.
where the
terrible.
like next to Carolina.
I was like, dude, we're not gonna be fourth. Chicago's gonna be worse.
Yes.
But this
Dude,
is,
I was even iffy
year.
on putting Chicago over Minnesota.
I didn't want to, but yeah, I'm there. Like
The Caleb Williams hype definitely like. I mean, I think everybody
it threw
felt
us
it.
off a little bit. But
So did you expect like the Vikings to be like a full bottom dweller, like 1-2 wins, or were you like still kind of expecting like it's still the Vikings? They're going to be like a 6-7 win team.
I was expecting 5-6 wins this year, especially with Sam Darnold, who has been bouncing around the league for ever since he's been drafted.
Yep.
And then I was super excited for the Vikings to draft J.J. McCarthy. He was my favorite quarterback coming out of the draft. And so I was super excited for that. And then when he had his season-ending injury, it was just like, well, that kind of solidifies
it's the
us.
Vikings.
Yeah.
It kind of solidifies us being there with the Carolina Panthers right now. But no, I'm completely shocked with what we've been able to do through the first 4 weeks, especially against the teams that we are playing.
Yeah. Tough schedule to start the year.
Tough schedule.
You had
And
San
And that's the
Fran.
hardest part of the schedule too.
is.
Yeah.
Like,
San Fran.
It is. And
Green Bay.
missing
Green Bay.
Addison for one of those games.
Yeah.
And then not having Hawkinson.
Yeah, Hawk being out.
So getting them back will be huge. I know we just got Addison back for the Packers game, but getting Hawk back after, I believe, the bye week.
played, yeah.
is
So
kinda
that'll be
what
Detroit.
they're-
That's Detroit.
It's kind of the bye after the bye week is kind of what
Yeah,
they're
because they
eyeing
opened.
for.
They just did they open his practice window?
Yeah, he came through.
Yeah, so 21 days,
Yep,
right?
he came
Yeah.
through.
So he'll be playing in like 2 weeks
He'll
or 3
be.
weeks.
It'll either be Detroit or LA.
Because we play the Jets this week in
Then
London.
we get the bye.
London.
We're in London, and then we get the bye week after that. So I'm expecting him to be back for the Detroit game.
So, aside from Darnold, which I think would be most Vikings pick for like their favorite offseason acquisition, a lot of key players on defense. Grenard, Cashman, I think you mentioned Shaq, Griffin,
Yep.
Stephon Gilmore. Who's like your top guy outside of Darnold for free agent acquisitions? I think I missed one, but I'll let you because I think.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the guy you missed is probably going to be my favorite pickup. Van Ginkel.
Yep, that's
is
exactly.
a absolute dog this year for the Vikings.
He should have, like,
And
six pick
Miami, the
They're
Miami
shooting
fans
themselves in the
are
head.
very upset with getting rid of Van Ginkel and seeing him perform on the Vikings. But being a huge Gophers fan, love the Cashman pickup.
Yeah.
Bringing him home and him having a first couple of good games as a Vikings in the purple and gold. You love seeing that back in the home
Me
state.
too.
Yeah.
So I do really like that pickup with Cashman. But Van Ginkel, man, has been playing lights out that it's hard not to put him at the top there.
Yeah.
He makes me happy.
Yeah. That interception off of
Daniel Jones.
Pick
Daniel
six,
Jones.
He should have a couple.
That
There was a
was
couple that
nuts.
he had that 49ers game too. I think
Yeah,
he dropped
And then he
two.
almost did the
we're
same
coming
thing to
for you,
Brock
boy.
Purdy the next week.
So
We're coming
Take
for
yourself.
you.
Hey, yo, yeah, okay, yeah. Meet me in the middle. Meet me in the middle.
so
I'm not
moving.
gonna let you forget.
Kirby's still
I'm not
out
gonna
there.
let
The
you
sharks
forget.
are in the water.
You might be wearing purple.
Sharks are in the water.
You might be wearing purple, but
Bro,
those veins
Oh
bleed
my
blue.
okay, dude.
Do they not?
You are a
They're both out of control
terrible
right now.
person.
So moving off of football,
What
as
up?
you can see, Mitch and I both wearing our Timberwolves hats.
Represent.
This
Big-
is my show, and I didn't even get the memo.
Oh,
First preseason games tonight against the Lakers.
Who
get
are
to
we
see-
talking about?
Don't even. Don't even.
but big news.
Calls himself a Minnesota fan.
But big news. Karl Anthony Towns getting traded to the New York Knicks.
Huge news.
The Timberwolves receiving Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo getting back, Keita Bates, Diop, and I believe a Detroit first.
Yes.
So how are we feeling after the Cat trade? I think emotions at first kind of had me swayed one way.
Yeah, me too. I would have to agree on you on that.
But obviously a big contract that would have forced us to get rid of Nickeil Alexander-Walker and fan favorite Naz Reid. So now I'm a little bit more understanding on that side. But a huge trade with the star player after going to the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, getting like Julius Randle when he's healthy is a star. DiVincenzo is a great plug and play piece. Keita Bates, Diop, kind of just a roster filler.
Who used to be on the Wolves?
Who knows if he'll make the opening day roster? If he does, he's going to be the last guy off the bench.
Yeah.
On the bench. And then obviously that first rounder I think is very highly protected.
Very protected. Which, I mean, if things don't go our way, it could easily turn into 2 second rounders real quick.
Right. So how are we feeling after the big meow, the big purr Cat getting traded?
Big Apple.
Going to the Big Apple, getting traded to the Knicks.
Really good.
I like that.
That was good. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts.
You're here.
Obviously being, a longtime Timberwolves fan, and if you know the Timberwolves background, we have not been irrelevant for the last 20
years.
20 years, man.
Since
we have not been good. And I have stuck through those 20 years.
And Nikola Pekovic, all those days. JJ Barea.
You looking at me? You a cop? Dude.
But so seeing Cat go after all these years, 9 years with the Timberwolves, it's sad to see him go. It really is. He was such a huge statement piece for our franchise forever. The number 1 overall pick in 2015, winning Rookie of the Year, the 3-point shooting contest, one of the best big man shooters in the NBA. Mm-hmm. It's sad to see him go. It really is. But like you said, with his big contract and keeping Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid, who is very underrated in his position. Naz Reid has been great for the Timberwolves coming off the bench. It's just sad to see him go. DiVincenzo is a good pickup because he can shoot threes coming off the bench. I am a little worried about Randall. He is a little bit on the older side. Not too much older than Cat, but he is coming off a shoulder injury, which I don't think will be too much of a concern, but still something to worry
about. The trade went through, so he's good to go.
He's good to go. So
I like DiVincenzo.
I do too. I like DiVincenzo
Scores points, knows his job. I think he plugs in well with Ant. I think he's that type of guy, kind of like a Monte Morris type, where it's you can just count on him to be there. He's not gonna wow you in the long run, but he's the type of guy that if you need to win a game, he can come and get it for you.
Right. I just think of our series against Dallas in the conference finals last year and having someone come off the bench that could shoot a three.
That back ball, yep.
That would be a huge help for us there in that series.
Just add a little bit more speed on it too.
Yeah.
Because now you got to think about you can run a real fast. You can run a real fast line, or you can run a real big man line. You could throw Naz at a 3 and then keep Randall and big Rudy out there, or you could, throw DiVincenzo out there. You could get Dillingham. You could get Ann out there.
I think that small ball lineup
either way
is going to be crazy.
It's
Throwing
dirty.
Cause I think Naz is 6'9", so he's about a small forward height.
But you throw him at a 4. Keep
right. Well, throw
Jaden in there.
Right. I'm thinking you could almost go Naz at the 5, Jaden at the 4.
Yeah.
Maybe Ant at the 3, have DiVincenzo in there, and then a kind of if you're going a quick lineup that can shoot threes. Quick, yeah. I do like that.
I put DiVincenzo at the 3.
Like that.
I put him at 3. Keep Ben in a 2.
How big is he? Because I don't. Is he a shooting guard?
He is a shooting guard.
Yeah.
So he's probably 6'5".
Yeah.
Somewhere around that. You can also throw Ant at the 3, which he did in the playoffs against Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I heard something about that where it's Finchie's got relationship with it's either Randall or
Randall.
Yeah,
from New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah. So it's that could be a fun little.
Yeah.
If
he had high praises for Chris Finch, our head coach.
So
But,
what are your expectations like heading into this season? Obviously coming off a Western Conference Finals appearance, first one since I believe '04. Big trade. Are we keeping around that like 56, 58 total wins, or do you think they'll fall off?
I think we're going to stick with what we were last year, if not improve on what we had last year, because I think with the trade of Cat does hurt a little bit because he was a very key part on guarding Jokic in the playoffs and was a huge help with that. But I think we really built our bench with trading Cat, with getting DiVincenzo, and then getting Joe Ingles in free agency, which was a huge pickup. But then also trading Cat, I think, really allows Anthony Edwards to take control of the team and run it how he wants to and not have to try and defer and play a game that isn't always as comfortable to him. Mm-hmm. You know, and I've always liked Chris Finch a lot. I think he's a heck of a head coach, and I don't think he's going to settle for. If we do a little bit worse, I could see us dropping like 4 or 5 games, but I don't see us anything, dropping like 10, 15, 20 games from what we had last year. If anything, I see us improving, maybe making a push for that number 1. We were the number 1 for a long time last year, and then during playoff seedings got the 3rd.
Yeah.
So I could see us going for a push for the number 1.
So I got Josh into like fully watching, paying attention to basketball.
Yeah, that took a while.
It did take a while.
That took a while.
So, fun fact. So, Mitchell and I actually got season tickets this past season, to the Wolves. So, we had a bunch of games to go to. Went to a few with each other, but then most of the games, you don't bring other people. I brought my girlfriend. He brought his wife. A couple of our friends, including Josh.
Joshy boy got to go to a few games.
I was so excited. I got a sweatshirt and I got a jersey. Mm-hmm. And they lost all the games that we went to, but I was so happy.
Yeah. So coming from like an outside where like basketball wasn't really a big sport for you, going into this past season where the Wolves ended up being like super, super good, like what are your thoughts now on how the Wolves are set up?
Well, as you know, like you said, I wasn't into basketball. No, I loved KG as a little kid.
Oh yeah,
but after he left, unlike most people, I did not cheer for Boston. I hate Boston. So, from that time to kind of like the last few years since we started watching games at your house, Golden State was my favorite team.
Along with a lot of other people's, but you were just starting, so I ain't gonna
dog
you on that.
I was young.
So Josh likes the Warriors. He likes the Lakers. Let's see.
I hate the Lakers.
He likes the Celtics.
I hate Celtics.
The
I
Sun.
just said I hate Boston.
No.
I hate the Sun. Oh my gosh.
Denver.
The only other team I would maybe cheer for is Chicago, and then after that maybe Memphis. Dude, Josh a dog. Anyways.
Yeah.
Did you see his media day?
No.
Full gold grill, and it's just like, all right, like,
bro, he has both parents. He knows that, right? Like,
you grew up in the suburbs.
How long until he
his
gets
dad
suspended
like
again?
How
made
long?
him so
Like,
great.
does Ja Morant? We can say now. Does Ja Morant finish the entire NBA season?
Does he even start
Oh,
this?
yeah.
Does he
Or
even
does he
start the season?
I think
Yeah,
Memphis
does he?
is a sleeper team.
Or is he gonna
I
get
do.
suspended again for flashing a gun on Instagram or some shit?
He did not take those situations very well.
If I was a
even
betting
after like
man-
media training, he did not care.
If I was a betting man and the odds of him doing something stupid, I'd say it's probably like 4-1. But I'm gonna hold out. I'm gonna hold out. For
He
it.
is a good ball player.
Yeah.
He can.
When he's
fly
when
through
he's
the
on the
air.
court, he's not
He's
getting
not
into
terrible.
trouble.
He's not
Yeah.
a bad player.
No, he's a really good player. Like.
He's like the NBA version of Plexio Perez.
Plaxico. Oh my gosh.
Or
yes.
Josh Gordon.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon wasn't like flashing guns. He was just
No,
smoking
he's
weed.
smoking
He was
dope.
just smoking
Yeah.
weed. But he kept doing it over and
Yeah,
over.
not learning from your mistakes.
Not learning
yeah.
from your mistakes, dude.
No, back to your question though.
Yeah.
We're a long way from it. No, I think from an outside perspective, it was cool to see the team kind of come to life as far as like, everybody's happy, we're the number 1 seed right now for most of the year. And obviously, I'm a sport mind, so it wasn't like rocket science for me to pick up basketball like that. But just seeing how like friends I have who never really got into basketball, how now they're getting into the basketball games and they're getting into the players and they're kind of seeing that. I think that was part of that culture that we need in order to get to that championship level. Because I mean, if you think about it, like the teams that are playing in the championships, most of the time they have a lot of fans, they have a lot of following. Home games are huge. I think of the Suns, really, when they got there to that finals, like it was pandemonium. Like they were a hot shot team. Like they came to play ball. And then when you went to Toronto with Kawhi and you see how Toronto on that buzzer beater just like ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge as far as what our season looked like. I think a lot of home games are going to be wins. I think that fans are going to show up and go crazy. I think that on the road, fans are going to go crazy too because the Wolves are a fun team to watch, and I think that's why they'll be good this year. I think that's what they need right now. Yeah, you lose Big Cat, and from an outside perspective, it's like, what are you doing? But like you said, it opens up a lot more on the court for Ant, for Jaden, for Dillingham to grow. It opens that up, so then you can kind of, if you're Finchy, you can kind of tailor that game to how you want to play it. And so then instead of building a team to beat Denver, teams are going to start building a team to beat you, which I think is crazy to think about. Like a Minnesota team in general being kind of like the face of the league. Like Ant Edwards last year through the playoffs was the face of the league.
Yeah.
And I think that's crazy because basketball, we're the state of hockey.
Right.
Basketball, bro.
Well, and
like,
being
I don't
bad
know.
for so
I'm excited
long.
for it. I'm saying 74-8.
Ooh.
74-8.
Man.
That's a prediction.
Real prediction probably be like 50.
So staying like in the Minnesota world, we all grew up in Minnesota, right? Me, not so much just with the Packers, but outside of the Packers, Minnesota sports fan. So a lot has happened that's been bad with Minnesota, and that includes all teams. We haven't seen a championship outside of the Lynx since '91 with the Twins.
Yeah.
So what was it like for both of you, like growing up, being Vikings fans, being Wolves fans, Twins fans, if you watch
Wild
baseball,
fans.
Wild fans? What was it like? There was a lot of great moments, but nothing just panned out. Everything kind of fizzled out. My first thought being that like NFC Championship game against Philly. Like, what are those moments like from your guys' perspective, where it's like, all right, we're back to being a good team. We've had like this kind of feeling, but like we've never been able to kind of take charge of it. What's it been like being Minnesota sports fans through and through? We'll start with Mitchell because he's the only like true Minnesota sports fan.
Devastating.
Oh, absolutely. What are your like worst like moments as a Minnesota sports fans that you as
Worst
a fan?
moments?
I'll say top 3. We'll go top 3.
Dude, I mean, Blair Walsh, wide left against the Seahawks that was a hard one. And like you brought up was the Philly game,
Yep. Yeah.
which was 2018, I believe, or
2017. 2017 into 18.
Yeah, because the
2017
Bears
into
won
18.
18, so yeah. 17.
and one game away from the Super Bowl, being in Minnesota that year after the Minnesota Miracle catch from Stephon Diggs was heartbreaking. Especially getting blown out by Philly in the game and not even being close. Like,
not even a competitive game.
like it was so hard to watch after the first quarter that it was like.
Well, it was bad too because like they scored right away and then just shit the bed.
Yeah, we marched down the field like it was easy, and then after that it was like we forgot how to play football. Like it was pretty rough there.
Yeah. What's your third one?
My third one would be the Saints game when Brett Favre was the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. Love to take a shot at you there for Brett Favre being on the Vikings.
We just talked about Favre. You heard about him with Parkinson's.
Yes.
Right? Okay, yeah. So
Yes, I
very
did.
sad. But yeah, shout out to Brett Favre, man.
Yes.
What a warrior.
Yes. But definitely that Saints loss to go to the Super Bowl again, and then finding out that the Saints organization was paying extra to have our players hurt.
Yeah. Brett Favre's, I think it was like his foot was nasty
Yeah.
after that game.
Yeah. So after that, obviously being a Vikings fan, I have just wanted every year for the Saints to move to London or Mexico, and that be one of the international teams.
Right.
And the Saints organization kind of just.
Who do you hate more? I'll leave the Packers out of it because that's like the obvious answer. Who do you hate more, Philly or New Orleans?
New Orleans.
Ooh, that's hard.
I
That is
hate
hard.
Philly,
That's
but
hard.
I hate New
I
Orleans.
hear it all the time because like obviously everybody around me is Vikings fans, so like I hear both sides. I think like
That's hard.
the recency bias being Philly, but I think like the Saints is just something that'll never die.
Like the Saints was 2010, 2009, and I have not let that go.
Oh yeah,
But I don't know, man. Those Philly fans
gross, disgusting.
were brutal to the Vikings.
I'm sure Josh is a fan of the Eagles too, so I
Yeah, I
guess
hate
it's
the
like,
Eagles now.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say it's. If I had to pick one or the other, I would probably say. Right now, I would say the Eagles
okay.
because they are better. They're on the hot spot. I mean, I guess the Saints have kind of started off to a hot spot this year, but the
Right.
Saints last year,
Terrible.
you kind of feel bad for them.
Right.
But I still hate them. So if I had to pick right now, I'd say more the Eagles.
Okay.
But that could change next year.
Right. Josh, do you have like top 3 moments being a Minnesota fan that like still just
I mean,
gets
I
you?
would echo all of your moments. So I'll go maybe like from a Wild perspective, definitely losing to Chicago 2 times is a tough pill to swallow. You're on that doorstep. You're so freaking close. And
being
then
the
you
state
get
of
a bad
hockey,
draw.
not being to a Stanley
You
Cup
just
Finals.
get a bad draw like that. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I obviously like I still think about it like I want to say it's like the 2015 team and then the 2011 team, like the 2 years that Chicago went to go get it. Like it sucks. From a Twins fan.
This year sucked.
I could pick a million
This
different
year was
reasons.
so
This year
why
was-
the Twins
I think-
suck. Oh man,
This year, especially after last year, and then having
Yeah.
this year, it's like,
I think for me, I think this year was probably like the most disappointing because we had held the division lead for a long time, lost it to, or
they were in second
Not-
place.
not a
they
long
held
time.
the wild
Yeah,
card.
they held
for,
the wild card for a
4
long-
months. They were
Yeah.
locked in at the 3.
and then Detroit, who ended up making the playoffs, won the series
Won the
against
series.
Houston.
Royals
They were like
won the series
yeah.
against.
There's three central teams still in the playoffs. Not one of them's the Twins, but Detroit was so far behind in the standings. Like they were. I mean, a month ago, even they weren't even looked at as a team to
team.
compete.
Well, they traded off at trade deadline. They traded off.
Yeah, and they
And now
somehow
they're in the divisional.
hot.
Yeah. So I mean, anything with the Twins from 09, like see when you talk about like the worst Minnesota moments, like when you talk about that, I always think of like what happened right before. Like you said, Minnesota Miracle, Minneapolis Miracle, Steph Diggs. That's the only time in my life I ever jumped in down for a football game. I watched the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. I've watched the Chiefs kill everybody. That's the only time I've ever jumped up and down. Like you guys are like, not real. But it's like, there's a reason that I'm jumping ship because it's like, dude, how much of this can I really take? And it's just like,
Ask Mitchell.
well, yeah, and he's a trooper. My dad and him are troopers, but it's like, dude, I just like, for the love of sports, I have to have a love of sports, and part of loving sports is watching your teams lose. And like for me, it's like that old Yeller moment where it's like, I just don't want to pull the trigger. Like I can't watch you shoot yourself in the head. So like I think of, the 09 season against the Yankees. Right before that, Carlos Gomez gets home from Alexi Casillas' hit after they walked Delman Young, and it's like, dude, that's like another highlight of my moment, highlight of my sports life. And then the Wild, Nino Niederreiter goes to double OT, Game 7 in Colorado, hits that thing. I'm staying up till 12:15. I'm 16 years old watching it with my dad, and we're barely hanging on. It's like one of those. And then with the Wolves, I think we were out on game 2 and 5. I think we were in line, and you see Naj Reid throw it up, and it's like, dude, it just bounced, not going in. And so it's like, I think of like the worst sports moments, and then I think of what happened right before it, and it's always outshined the good moments. Like it's always overshadowed the good moments just because we've never been able to finish it off.
Right.
Like if you think about like Minneapolis Miracle, we go and win the Super Bowl, greatest story of all time.
Yeah.
09, Brett Favre runs the ball, go to the Super Bowl, win the thing, greatest story of all time. Twins don't lose 21 games in a row, go to the World Series, maybe not win it, greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, dude, I just think that like we've been robbed as Minnesota fans of so many like superstar moments. Like the other teams in the world, yeah, that's great. The only one that I think is really close is Kawhi, buzzer beater, bounce, 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 in, win.
Right.
You know, and so
So-
it's just it sucks.
So being Minnesota sports fans, and I'll stay in this with you for the Vikings, but we're gonna go through the 4 teams. I want you to name your top 3 favorite players of all time from each franchise.
You go first.
I go first.
So we'll start with one team. We'll work our way for the 3 of us. Next team, so on. So we'll start with the Vikings.
Okay. At my number 1, I've got Randy Moss. I mean, Randy Moss is just when you think of the Minnesota Vikings, you automatically think of Randy Moss. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver of all time.
Yep.
You know, up there with Jerry Rice for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Megatron.
Yeah, for
Oh, yeah.
sure. And Megatron. At my number 2, I've got Harrison Smith. He's been a long time Viking out of Notre Dame. Just one of those hard-hitting safeties that really has kind of been underappreciated. You know, it doesn't really make the big news and stuff, but stats don't lie and stuff. And I could see Harrison Smith after retiring one day being a Hall of Famer for sure.
Oh yeah, I think he's first. He should be first ballot.
Yeah, and so I've always had a soft spot for old Harrison Smith there. He's always been a real one. And then on my 3rd is Adrian Peterson. He's about the other Viking that you think of the Minnesota Vikings is Adrian Peterson, because we did not have anything going for us for so long except for Adrian Peterson.
Right. Yeah.
That-
AP, but that was like even when the Vikings were like bad with Peterson, he was the most electric player to watch.
Like, it was insane that he was the reason that I watched the Vikings in the dark days.
Yeah.
Is because at any moment he could be running over linebackers and taking it to the house.
Right. Josh, who are your top 3 Vikings of all time?
JJ,
JJ.
greatest receiver. Right now, obviously.
On pace to become a GOAT.
On pace to become the greatest of all time. Jerry, sit down. He's coming for you. Adrian, obviously. Just that, like, you don't realize how good he was until he's gone type. And I think about it a lot where it's like, man, I had a jersey and I threw it away or something. I must have grown out of it. And I'm like, damn, that was so stupid. And then I split. Randy, obviously, he's in that mix. But then I had Dante Culpepper.
Oh.
You're talking my favorites. And
Yeah.
so Dante was the guy who got me into football. Him and Randy, I remember with the big afro watching TV with Randy. And then it's like, who's throwing him the ball? Oh, the big lefty, you know. It's Dante. He's out there. He's doing his best. It's 11. He got me into football, got me into sports. So Dante, my guy.
Yeah, I've always loved Dante.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys know, but like I'm a little bit biased, right? So my first 2 are very biased. My favorite Viking of all time would be Favre.
I don't blame you.
When in that 09 season, after going to the Vikings after a year with the Jets, like I was outside of the Packers, like I wanted to see Favre win another one. I know I kind of touched on this before, but like I wanted to see Brett Favre get back to being Brett Favre in the Super Bowl, slinging the rock. So yeah, he's my favorite. Second one, another biased pick, but Aaron Jones. Rodgers had touched on this with McAfee earlier this week, but like he is like the epitome of what it means to be a Packer. Ending his letter saying no G on my helmet, but always one in my heart. Just a hard guy to like not like. So that's my second, but my third one I actually did pick of an actual Viking. I loved Sidney Rice.
Sidney Rice
Loved
was
Sidney
fun
Rice.
to watch.
Yeah.
I think outside of like former Packers, Sidney Rice was my favorite rival player. Him and like Berrien, like I just like Bernard Berrien because of his name. So like wasn't not as a player, but I loved Sidney Rice as a player. Wasn't a household name, and then when Favre got to Minnesota, and then all of a sudden Sidney Rice is throwing up crazy numbers.
But yeah, and you mentioned Sidney Rice, and so I gotta give the honorable mention to Percy Harvin.
Percy, yeah.
Oh
Threw him on
man,
there.
Florida.
Florida's Gator boy.
Dude,
Percy
just-
Harvin was so fun to watch.
Those
Yeah.
100-yard kickoff returns, just you knew it was coming.
Yeah,
Hard
too bad
to
he
miss.
couldn't stay healthy.
No.
Right. So moving on, the Vikings to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The Minnesota T-Wolves.
Yes.
My favorite right now on my list over Kevin Garnett is Anthony Edwards. I mean, young king, young goat, as KD said. I mean, that guy is so fun to watch. The dunk against the Jazz. I mean, what a dunk.
Yeah.
What
the
a
poster.
dunk. The poster, man. Like, I
I gotta put that up in here actually.
It's been a while, maybe since prime Derrick Rose. Good.
All right, we're back after some technical difficulties.
Welcome back after technical difficulties.
A little bit of difficulties.
Little bit.
We got her back.
We pooped it out.
So, as you were saying about Anthony Edwards and prime Derrick Rose there.
Yeah, and back to what I was saying about my number one on the list of my all-time Timberwolves is Anthony Edwards. And like I was saying, it's just I haven't had so much fun watching a basketball player since Derrick Rose, just being able to really just put on a show and be lights out. So entertaining to watch, and it's such a young guy age. You know, it's couldn't ask for much more on that draft with the number one pick. Man, I'm so happy that we picked Anthony Edwards.
We got McDaniels in that draft too, right?
We did get McDaniels in that
Off a
draft.
trade, I think.
Yep, after drafting center Daniel Orturu out of Minnesota. And then second on my list is obviously the big ticket. We got KG. KG is a statement in the Minnesota Timberwolves franchise. He is the number one player of our franchise of all time. The only reason I have Ant in front of him is because Ant is he's playing, and he's arguably up there with the faces of the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
And I could kind of see how the NBA is kind of leaning towards putting him as the face of the NBA. So I have got Ant over KG, but all the love and respect for KG. And then last on my list, I couldn't decide if I wanted to go between Zach LaVine or Karl Anthony Towns, but ended up going with Karl Anthony Towns. After just being traded to New York, third on my list, I mean, drafted in 2015 as the number one, and for 9 years never asked for one trade, no matter how bad we had been. And the stuff that he went
Got
through with
D'Lo
Jimmy.
here.
Got D'Lo here, and dealing with Jimmy Butler, and
Yeah.
Pat Bev, just made it work.
just being able to watch Cat through, honestly, some terrible basketball, and him being like the one person that's actually enjoyable to watch,
Right.
game in and game out. I throw Cat up there over Levine just because Cat was here a little bit longer than Levine.
Right. Josh?
Same, except I picked Levine.
Ooh.
Not that I don't love Cat. Not that I don't obviously respect what he's done as a player. It's just like, for me, Levine was the one that got away. Imagine if he was on this team right now. Imagine if he was solid on this team right now.
Yeah.
He's doing okay in Chicago, but it's like, oh, the what if of that big three that just, slipped away.
Right.
I feel like that's the romanticism of Minnesota sports. It's always going to be a what if until we get one
through our
back.
Yeah.
fingers.
Until we get that ring, it's always going to be
Yeah.
like, could it have worked? But you'll never know. So.
Just like drafting Rubio instead of Curry, right?
Johnny Flynn.
You've got.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it worked out. It worked out, right?
It worked out.
It did. So my one is the big ticket KG. My childhood consisted of watching him dominate. I think probably all the way to like the age of 5, 6, like right before he went to Boston, being the face of Minnesota. obviously going to Boston, like I did follow KG. I was happy that the Celtics won in '08. It was sad watching him like in Brooklyn, kind of just, a shell of his former self. But when he got traded back to Minnesota, I actually made it a point. I texted my mom, I think, what was it, like 2015? I made it a point. I texted my mom right away. I was like, hey, will you like get tickets to this next game? Because at that point, I'd never seen him in a Wolves uniform, live.
Did he come back from Brooklyn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know why
I can't remember who it was like, I think they traded like Thaddeus Young for him, but it was just one of those things where it was like, you knew he was going to retire probably either that year or the next year, so they brought him back home. But yeah, I was able to finally see him in a Wolves uniform in person. It was electric. Like that was, I mean, we were bad. Like we were very, very bad, but the entire arena was full. The homecoming video before the game, hearing him get announced, doing his like pregame rituals and stuff. Yeah, just for how bad we were. Obviously not getting a championship to Minnesota, but what he did for the franchise while he was here was immaculate. An amazing player to watch. My second would be Ant. He, like you had said, just an amazing young player. High flyer, can shoot, does all the right things. You don't see his name a lot in terms of like controversy, but yeah, just what we needed.
And we were
Great
there
score.
when he had his baby.
Yeah,
We were there at that game.
Yeah, yep.
That was
That,
cool.
that's true because he left.
That was
Yep.
cool. Where the heck is he going? No, he lost.
But yeah, like definitely what Minnesota need, just another face like KG, and Ant's taking over the league.
Yeah.
Being a top team, getting to the Western Conference Finals, the future is absolutely bright for not just him, but the Timberwolves.
Yes.
And then my third was Derrick Rose. Another game that I got to see live was his 50-point night, his career high, Halloween, I believe, of 2018. I actually, funny story was, so at Augsburg playing football, we had like study nights. So we had 3 study nights, and you had to go to 2 a week. Well, I believe it was on a Friday, and I'd only been to 1 study table. So I went up to my study table, checked in, and then slipped out the back so I could go to the game. Because the reason I wanted to go to the game as much as I wanted was because it was their first game debuting the Black Tree throwbacks. Mm-hmm. And then ended up being Derrick Rose's career high, seeing him emotional as he was, being down, I think, 2 starters, him coming in and putting on an absolute masterclass, made me absolutely fall in love with him being in a Wolves uniform. And he looked great in those Prince jerseys, too.
Those Prince jerseys were sweet.
Oh, they're amazing. So moving on from the Wolves, I don't think really any of us are like huge baseball. I know Josh likes baseball quite a bit. I like baseball. It's not like my biggest sport. I still do watch the Twins, but we'll move on to the Twins. Who do you got for your top 3 Twins?
My top 3 Twins. I mean, I think majority of everyone's number 1 would be Kirby.
Kirby, yeah. Even though we didn't get to see him play.
Right.
Kirby's, I mean, just
we're
the
doing all time.
Well, your favorite. I guess. I mean, I guess if he's your
see him
favorite,
play,
yeah.
then it would be.
Yeah, if you got to see him, we'll stick to that. We'll say
Seeing him play, it would be Joe Mauer.
Yeah. No.
I mean, Joe Mauer was the only bright spot in the Twins organization with
Forever.
my upbringing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
until I was well in my senior year or well graduated from high school, that we were bad.
Yeah.
I like Buxton a lot.
Yeah.
I really like Buxton. It stinks that he gets hurt a lot, so we can't really see what his full potential would be in a season without getting hurt.
Right.
With how fast he is, it would be
Electric, man.
yeah. Very, very electric. And at my number 3, I don't know if I really have a number 3. I guess, like you said, baseball's not really my baseball and hockey aren't really my
trying to think of, like,
go-to sports.
I'm trying to think of, like, during, like, when we grew up. I mean, like, Morneau was a lot of people's fan favorites during that Mauer time. Like Kadire, Kugel. Now it's a little bit
I
different.
mean, you could throw in Correa, but
Right. That's just like I mean, you're not a baseball guy, so it's like,
Yeah.
your top two. We'll take that.
well, I'll give you my top two because it's an honest top two. I could throw
Right.
Carlos Correa in there at 3, or
Yeah.
I could throw in Royce Lewis in there, but
Yeah.
they,
That's just like now.
those are just the now guys that I know. And
Yeah. Josh, what do you got?
So as they mentioned, I am a baseball fiend. I am a baseball kid.
yes, you do like baseball.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it's so.
Well, it's America's pastime.
Well, that too. My grandma and grandpa were huge baseball fans. Like they've been to all 30 stadiums, like that type of huge. Like
That would be really cool.
They got their name at Target Field, like all that. So baseball runs deep. Wild. My dad was a hockey kid, so that's all I watched before I watched the Wolves. So then you guys kind of got me into the Wolves. So hockey kid. So I know all the others, all the sports. So my favorite player, the one who got me into baseball, number 48, the great Torrey Hunter. Loved watching him play. Loved watching him ball out. He was a, like I said, he's the guy who got me into baseball. Just watching him do his thing out in center field, and obviously being a big fan growing up, having his jersey, having his shirt, like all of that, just kind of obviously made me fall in love with baseball. Another guy didn't play with us for terribly long. I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 seasons. Carlos Gomez.
I was gonna say Seago.
Yeah. Dude, Bubble Butt just had it down. Like he was a stud. I just loved watching him play. He was aggressive, ran hard, hit the ball hard, played out in the field really well. When he went to the Brewers, I was pissed because it's almost like if the Vikings had a player that would go to the Packers, you just get pissed.
Yeah.
But then
Except
he
you guys
tore
steal
it up.
all of our players.
Dude, that's true. I Googled that, and only one played majority. Like, it's like 27 guys. Only one played majority with the Vikings and then went to the Pack. Like, I don't remember who it is. Like, some guy from, like, the 80s.
Right. No, no big name.
Nothing. Not just some guy. And he played, like, 1 year with y'all because it was just like, oh, let's see what's left. So.
Right.
And then my last guy, it was tough going for a 3 because like you said, there's a lot of guys that you could pick. So I just thought, like, who did you like watching play? Nelson Cruz. Just a monster.
Squad,
yep.
Yeah,
just
I was going to say that
beast.
2017, 2018
And
Bomb
like
Squad
just
team.
what he brought to the locker room, that maturity with him, I think that's a
veteran
big part.
status, yeah.
And like when you went to stadiums, you knew that people came to see him play, and so it wasn't more or less like he was a great twin. He was just a great player for baseball.
Yeah.
Like Jim Thome, same thing. He hit his 500th with us.
Yeah.
So it's like you see big name guys like that come through, and that's what's fun about baseball. That's why I kind of love baseball. Like if Aaron Judge is in the building now with the Yankees, they got Soto, Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, Volpe. They got all these guys coming through. So it's like if you're a fan of baseball, I think it's easier to watch. More or less, if you're just a fan of the Twins, then it's like, okay, they're good, they're bad. But for me, it's just I just love baseball. So huge list. And you guys will love to know that the Twins are not only my favorite team. The Chicago Cubs probably have them beat on my heart. Love the Cubs. Cubs love runs deep. Top to bottom, that 2016 team was awesome. I loved watching it fly the dub. And then my other favorite team is sadly the Yankees. Dude,
That's so terrible.
Their players is more or less what it is.
You like the
I do like the Red Sox.
I do
so.
like the players. So I mean,
I like the Red Sox, so I
Stanton,
can't say
Rizzo.
much. But
Yeah, and Rizzo was kind of the one that got started with the Yankees. So
Yeah, fair enough.
So my one is actually the same as Josh's, and for the same reasons. Got me into baseball. Torrey Hunter, man. I believe he finished his career with 9 Gold Gloves. I think between him and KG, seeing somebody leave, like Hunter was the hardest.
Yes.
Seeing leave, and for the reasons of he was at that time a superstar, and not Minnesota not being able to kind of keep up payroll wise, and then getting pitching that didn't help us at all. Seeing an electric guy like that leave. But yeah, Torrey Hunter got me into baseball. The reason I love playing the outfield, I'm sure same as you. But also for my 2, along that line of being an outfielder, Buxton. And kind of like you said, it sucks that he is hurt as much as he is. A lot of Twins fans don't like him for that reason, but I don't blame the injuries. I don't blame like the injury aspect on him, because we do see like, you know, Correa's been hurt. Royce Lewis early in his career. So I don't put that like on the players as much as, you know, maybe like the coaching staff not having like the trainers.
Yes.
But seeing like what Buxton can do in terms of, he's a Gold Glove caliber guy. He hits the ball hard. His on base percentage, for the most part, when he's healthy, is good. When he's dealing with injuries, not so much. But just an exciting guy to watch. And then my third is an obvious one. It's Joe Mauer. The Minnesota kid from St. Paul, epitomized being a Minnesota Twin. But he was also like just a great triathlete. Was great at everything that he did in high school. I think he had Florida State
for football.
For
he
football,
committed and then he decommitted
to go
play
number
baseball.
one. Mauer.
And in basketball, he was recruited for that too.
Mauer, the sweetheart of Minnesota. I think probably like the biggest face for us, recognizing him. Maybe other than like now, like Jefferson.
Oh, like, yeah, you're talking,
like full Minnesota.
Like
Jefferson
full
KG.
Minnesota
He's up there with like Jefferson KG.
If there was a Mount Rushmore of the four sports, he's probably the guy that's
right. He's
on
up
for
there
the
for
Twins.
sure.
Yeah, I just hate that guy. I don't know what it is. Just
so now, I would say Josh, out of the three of us, being probably like the bigger hockey fan. I don't know if you'll have like a couple favorites.
I know hockey.
So I'll actually start with you, Josh, on who your top three Wild players.
Yeah, so I'm bringing it retro. Marian Gaborik. Honestly, I don't know if you guys will know any of these names. So
I know Gaborik.
Okay.
I do know like
there
hockey.
you go.
I do
think
know
it's
hockey.
a point. Ding.
Yeah, number 10.
Yeah, Marian Gaborik, number 10, stud. Kind of the same reason as the other guys. Like, got me into hockey. I mean, obviously my dad got me into hockey, first of all. But Marian Gaborik was the star of the show. So then when, you know, I would watch the games, I would watch for him because he would do something cool. He was a great goal scorer. Played a really long time. I think he only retired maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. So
yeah. Where did he go to the Rangers, right?
He went to the Kings after us, and then I think he bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to say he ended up in the Rangers. I want to say he ended up in like Calgary too, or it was somewhere in Canada. So yeah, main guy. He was kind of that stud. And then a guy who didn't really do a whole lot, but he's one of my favorite players to watch. Ryan Stewart. He was a scrapper, defense scrapper, third line guy. Didn't really get out there too much, but when he was out there, man, he was wrecking crews. He was doing work. Big fighter. I don't think he really lost too many fights. He was one of those like journeyman where he bounced around a couple different teams, but one of the guys that I loved watching. I just loved watching him get out there. And then a guy right now that we've got, Marc-Andre Fleury. Part of it, same thing with Nelson Cruz. He's a legend player. He's number 2 in wins all time. He's just got a huge history. You know, he won all those cups with Pittsburgh. But then what he's doing here in Minnesota, he's keeping that same high quality play.
Is this his last year?
Did he
say anything about that?
I think he's done after this year. Because I think he's riding it out this year because they have a controversy with what they're going to do with Gus, and so he's going to ride it out, and then we'll see what happens. I think he's going to be done after this. I think he's just chasing Waz record. So,
right.
But yeah, I love that guy. I love watching him play. He gets the people going, gets everybody going, and yeah, those are my top 3 Wild.
So, Mitch, do you have a top 3, or are you not?
I do have a top 3.
Ooh,
I do have a top 3.
Let's hear it.
Number 1 would be Zach Parise.
Okay, that's a controversial pick amongst Wild fans.
It is, but Zach Parise,
Minnesota boy, right? I'm pretty sure too.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I think him and Sue were both Minnesota guys, so I think that was
Wisconsin.
like
He's
oh,
a
he's in
terrible
Wisconsin.
person, so.
Oh god.
But he was kind of just a big name growing up, the flashy player that we had, and kind of drew your eyes to him when you watched hockey. Didn't grow up watching a lot of hockey, but being in the state of hockey, I would know more about hockey than I do about baseball.
Right.
So I'm going to put Zach Parise up there. I'm also going to agree with Josh and put at my number 2 is Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah,
Like
what
you
a guy.
said, just a legendary goalie. By the time he's retired, he's definitely going to be up there with the greats and will be remembered. And to be able to have him in a Wild uniform is pretty cool.
Yes,
It is.
I love it.
It'd be like having
That's a
Tom
great
Brady.
pick.
in
Yeah,
Vikings
yeah,
uniform,
exactly, dude,
you know?
exactly. And that's just, you're
It's just
speaking
cool
my
to see.
language.
Cool to see. It definitely draws fans having him in a Wild uniform. And then the last one isn't really because of how he played or a fan favorite or anything, just because I loved saying his name as a kid, is Nino Niederreiter.
Yeah,
Love
Nino.
me some Nino Niederreiter. So I'm going to put him at my number 3 for the Wild. Like I said, he didn't get a lot of playing time, but hell of a name, Nino Niederreiter. And when he did come in, he always make a play. It's just like, there he is, Nino Niederreiter. There's the guy, you know. And so I'm gonna stick him at my number 3.
Okay. So my number 1, I know for a fact you'll know who it is. You depends, because this is old. We were young, but
Is it like Manny Fernandez or something?
no.
Okay.
A little bit of tragedy with this one, but wearing the 2-4 sweater for the Minnesota Wild was Derek Boogaard.
Dope.
So, like I said, I was not a big hockey guy growing up. My uncle actually was a huge Minnesota Wild fan, and he had kind of put me onto Boogaard. Just an animal.
Dude,
Just
6'9"
fighting
out there.
Yeah, 6'9", fighting anybody and everybody who wanted it, which wasn't a lot of people. But Derek Boogaard, watching his highlights, like getting older and watching his highlights, it's like, holy shit, like I would not want to be in the ice with that guy. So yeah, he's my favorite.
Monster.
Number 2 was Brent Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Loved Brent Burns, great
Wow.
defenseman.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, it's a good pull. It's a good pull.
The shock on Josh's face right there was like,
I was like,
whoa.
hey, man, that's deep in the trenches.
He's never
Dude,
heard me
Nick,
talk about
like,
hockey.
Right.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah,
Good
Brent
pull,
Burns.
yeah.
So him being in San Jose, like when that happened too, I was like, man, like I pick a favorite hockey player, and then
Yeah.
the year after he goes somewhere else, kind of the same thing. Like I always rooted for him, even in San Jose,
Oh,
where it's
yeah.
like,
He's just a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great
He's
guy.
just a good. He got no teeth. Got long
yeah,
hair.
well, like going
Good.
from like a clean cut kid in
Yeah.
Minnesota, and then just being a
Watching-
grizzled veteran. Yeah. And then my third is an active player, the current captain, Jared Spurgeon.
Oh,
Yeah, Spurgeon.
another good pull.
Another good defenseman. And the reason that I like Spurgeon, well, my dad kind of put me onto him when he was younger, but he's a guy like in Minnesota making his way through the ranks. Like starting off as like a low line guy, not getting a lot of playing time, and then now becoming the captain of the Wild. It's great to see somebody like come up through those ranks, make a name for yourself, and then obviously being voted on by your fellow players as captain of the team. Cool to watch.
I love it. Yeah, I love your list. You've got a good list.
So, before we get into our predictions for this week, I do want to ask Mitch, kind of getting back on the Vikings thing, being 4-0, obviously convincing wins against some
Good teams.
top level teams. Are you on the hype train of the Vikings, or do you think that it's a little bit more fraudulent?
I'm gonna go with no on the fraudulent.
Okay, so you think this Vikings team is real?
I think we're legit. I think maybe there's a couple of pieces that we could add that we're missing, but I'm gonna give all the praise to the 4-0 record and the teams that we beat to our head coach and our defensive coordinator. B-Flow and Kevin O'Connell and our general manager Kawasi, they have got it cooking in Minnesota right now, and I think a lot of the credit is due to those guys and why
There's some
we
question
are.
marks around them
Yeah,
coming
there-
into this season.
There were some question marks, especially being in a re-sign season,
Yeah.
contract season for them. Kevin O'Connell is definitely going to get a long-term extension. So is Kawasi, and I just hope that we can keep B-Flow as long as we can, because one day in the future he will be going to get a head coach job, and so I just hope that we can keep him around as long as we can, because I really think that O'Connell and Flores work very well together, and it shows on the field. And I think that's why we're winning. You know, we've got a lot of good players around us, but no one would have predicted that Sam Darnold would be
MVP candidate?
MVP candidate, and second, maybe even above Patrick Mahomes, and
Yeah.
as the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah, NFC Offensive Player of the Month. So that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
So,
I really think it has to do with our head coaching
All right.
and our defensive coaching.
So let's rifle through this full slate of Week 5 games quick. Do you have anything else before we start that?
No.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna say the games. So same thing. First team is the road team. Second team is the home team. So Thursday night football was last night. I took the Bucks, which I was wrong. Atlanta came out with the dub. Did you guys have predictions on who was gonna win that game?
Bucks.
I did not have a prediction on that game. I did my predictions today.
All right.
Oh, what a noble guy. Love it.
Right. All right. So starting the Sunday slate, we have the New York Jets against the Minnesota Vikings over in London.
I am going to go through and through Vikings. Going to beat down on Aaron Rodgers. He better be scared of the purple and gold this Sunday.
Yeah, they've never really done that too much, beating down on Rodgers. So.
Dude,
they
you ever
broke
heard of
his
Anthony
arm.
Barr?
Okay, I was talking more like metaphorically.
Hey, you want to hear a
but-
joke? Aaron Rodgers walked into a bar.
Fuck these guys.
Of course I'm picking Minnesota against the Jets. Are you kidding me?
To us?
I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, come on.
Dumb.
All right, next game we got Carolina at Chicago.
Chicago.
This game I thought really long and hard about. I'm going to go Carolina.
Ooh. All right, I got Chicago at home. Next game we got Baltimore at Cincinnati.
Baltimore.
I am going to agree with Josh and go with Baltimore.
I am as well going Baltimore. Next game we got Miami Dolphins heading to New England to take on the Patriots.
New England.
I've got New England in that one as well.
I do have the Patriots as well.
Wow.
Next game we have Cleveland taking on the Commanders.
I think we've got another 3-way tie here.
Commanders.
Commanders.
Wow.
Next we got the Indianapolis Colts heading to Jacksonville.
I have got the Indianapolis Colts.
Colts.
I'm taking Jacksonville.
You're a terrible person.
two teams that nobody cares about. All right. Oh man, just two like the reasoning for it is just like just two like non.
No, the reasoning for it was because we were 3-3-3, and then you just screwed it up.
Oh,
we were on a
terrible.
roll, so
We were on a
Just
roll.
two like non like really like division front runner teams that I don't know. I'm taking Jacksonville at home. Buffalo at Houston. This is a good game.
This is a really good
This is
game.
a huge game.
I'm going Houston.
I'm going Buffalo.
I am as well taking Buffalo.
Huh.
All right, next we got the controversial Las Vegas Raiders heading to Denver to take on the Broncos.
I think this is an easy pick, and I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Wow.
All right. Next we got a hot team, kind of hot. Arizona going to San Fran.
San Fran.
San Fran.
San Fran. All right. Now to my team. The Green Bay Packers head to Los Angeles to take on the Rams.
Can you do it? Can you swallow your pride and do it?
I am going to
Do
swallow
it.
my pride. I am picking Green Bay against the Rams,
He took off your arm. It's only fair.
but I
Hate to say it, but Green Bay.
hate to say it, but I could easily see the Rams and Matt Stafford beating Green Bay, though.
Oh, yeah. There's always a possibility. Any given Sunday. Josh, what do you got?
Green Bay.
I'm taking Green Bay as well. And then we have the New York Football Giants heading to Seattle.
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Seattle. Next we got Dallas Cowboys heading to
Dirtles.
Pittsburgh.
I'm going first? Oh, man, Pittsburgh.
I am going Pittsburgh as well.
I'm going to take Dallas.
Good job.
This will probably be the defining week to see if Justin Fields is him or not.
Yeah.
And then our last game of the week, Monday night, we have the New Orleans Saints going to Kansas City. I'm sure this is an easy one as well. 5-0.
KC, baby.
KC.
Yeah,
Casey.
I think this is the week that we find out that the Saints are frauds.
Yeah. On bye this week, we have Detroit, Tennessee, Philadelphia, and the Chargers. Is there any leaders in the league that you want to highlight at all? I think.
Yeah.
Surprises.
There's a big surprise in the passing leaders.
What?
I mean, who would have spec that Geno Smith would be the number one passer?
Oh, you wrote him off?
Dude,
Yeah.
he ain't right back.
It's a good thing he did right back.
I did. I mean, Geno Smith, like, good for you, man. Like, never would have guessed.
But here's the thing.
wanted
Here's the thing, though. If we look at like former Jet quarterbacks that are still in the league, they're hot.
They are hot right now.
Sam Darnold,
And
Geno,
active Jet quarterbacks in the league are not.
except for well, okay, I'll say starting because like Zach Wilson isn't starting, but he sucks.
Right, yeah. So what? Seahawks are 3-1, right?
Oh, they just
3-1.
are they 3-1? Oh yeah, because they were
Yeah.
undefeated.
So I mean, the two active quarterbacks that used to be for the Jets are
cooking.
cooking, man.
So we just kind of talked about the Vikings. Are the Vikings actually good? Non-fraudulent. I think the Vikings are good. I'm gonna agree with Mitch. The coaching, aside from like the players and like the free agent acquisitions, obviously Jettas. You put like star players around each other like that, and it can get kind of questionable sometimes in terms of like selfishness. Mm-hmm. But like this team is bought in.
Dude, I mean, watching the Vikings right now, it just seems like everyone on that team is loving what they do and love who they play for.
Oh yeah, and
It's
it's
just
like
exciting to watch as a Vikings fan.
Yeah, hats off to starting off with Kwesi. O'Connell game planning has been phenomenal. B-Flow, everybody knows B-Flow, has been putting a Vikings defense that was, I mean, very questionable heading into the season on the map as a top defense. I think they are tied with the Packers for, is it turnovers or just interceptions? I think it's turnovers.
I think it's turnovers.
So top level defense, players are, I mean, they're doing their thing, doing what they're asked, and it's showing. Staying with the Packers.
Read the question.
I'm going to. So this is Josh. So it said the Packers are good too, but just not as good. And I can agree.
You suck.
I think what the Vikings have right now that the Packers don't is the players fully buying in to what their goal is. I know you'd mentioned like Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, like where are those guys? And like that is a true question. Like where are those guys? When you're paying top dollar for premier positions, it's sad to see like we do have like a good defense and the turnovers show it. But that's coming from the DB group, right? Like a strip sack from Keyshawn, X having 4 picks in 4 games, Jair having a couple picks there. There needs to be a step up from your top paid players. Jeff Hafley seems to be doing a great job coaching that defense, but there just needs to be a little bit more from the players buying in. I know you probably pay a little bit more attention to the Packers, but I want to get your take just like how the Packers have looked and like what your expectations for them like moving forward this year is.
To be honest, I mean, you're asking a through and through Vikings fan on how I think the Packers are, and you want my honest opinion. My honest opinion is they're garbage, and I hate them. They're trash. No, in all respect, you guys. You guys way overpaid Jordan Love. And hopefully he's just like Josh said, with some rust after missing a couple of games, and that he's not going to look like that for you guys for the rest of the year. Or else, if I was Matt LaFleur, I'd be thinking about maybe putting in the guy who took you 2-0 and Malik Willis.
Yeah. Malik Willis was 2-0. Jordan Love's 0-2. Is there some controversy?
Controversy right there? I don't know, but you got to give Jordan Love some wiggle room.
We're going to cut back to this clip when the Vikings fall off. So.
Yeah, being a Vikings fan, I'm waiting for it. So
I think the players should start looking for houses in Vegas. So,
you got this name highlighted here.
Yeah.
No,
Josh
I think that's a smudge.
Oh, yeah. But David Montgomery, man, laid the absolute boom.
David Montgomery did.
Is that a controversy?
No, it is not a controversy.
We're going Gibbs.
I just threw it out there.
Are we still going Gibbs?
No,
or
I threw it out there because I want you all to know, and listen to me closely when I say this. The Detroit Lions with David Montgomery are the best team in football.
Wrong.
The best team.
Still
Wrong.
the Chiefs. Still the Chiefs.
Maybe.
He's
but
so wrong.
David Montgomery, I think, adds that red zone that Dan Campbell wants. And now that they're figuring it out with the line, with getting everybody involved, he's going to take a lot of that pressure away from Jared Goff. I mean, you look at the Philly specials type play. You know, where's it going? It's going his way. He's back there, so you have to get a spy on him. You have to get somebody to account for him. Otherwise, he's just going to run right through you. He's the Detroit version of Derrick Henry. Could I say that? Because he is that guy. That guy.
No, you're
Run
so
right
crazy.
through a wall.
You're so
would
crazy.
run right through a wall for that guy.
All right.
You're comparing
moving-
David Montgomery to Derrick Henry.
So moving on from an absolute delusional take, Caleb Williams is an absolute dumpster fire
He is.
for Chicago. And as you said here, he's not Justin Fields. Justin Fields
He's not Justin Fields.
moving on from Justin Fields, I think was understandable from like the Bears' standpoint. It's
Yes.
like, yeah,
It made
obviously.
sense.
It made sense.
was time.
But like,
it made sense.
But was it?
but at what? Well, here's the
Yes.
thing. At
But
what
was
point-
it? You could trade that number 1 pick and draft stock for the next 2 years
Oh,
but
yeah.
think about it. Like,
and keep Fields.
But here's
Dude,
the
like,
thing,
and the
right?
fans were calling for Fields at the end of the year.
but
Like,
what's
he picks
different
being a
about
Chicago
Pittsburgh?
fan,
What's-
how hard of it
What's different
is it
about
to swallow?
Pittsburgh than Chicago?
coaching?
Exactly.
Mike Tomlin.
Exactly.
So, but that's the point that I was gonna bring up is like, at what point is it that like
it's not
Chicago is where
Caleb
quarterbacks go
Williams'
to die?
fault. Yes, it's not Caleb Williams' fault. It's the team.
Right.
Yes.
That organization is run like a Burger King.
That's
like,
so. I'll take your New Orleans.
We'll take whoever you can get.
Take your New
No,
Orleans
no,
pick
no.
out of here. The Bears are the ones that should probably be moved to just a different league. Because oh my gosh, that is just it's terrible football to watch.
Hear that?
Mm-hmm.
It's the USFL.
It's
Chicago.
It's calling for Chicago.
Chicago. All right, so what we got next? Oh, and we'll go through a couple quarterbacks who are worth the money. I'm gonna say outside of Mahomes because he is the obvious choice. I think next up, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson.
He's not a fan of Lamar. He's not big on Lamar.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but you're paying for what you get.
Right.
I mean, he's proven time and time again that he's going to take Baltimore to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks were worth the money. Brock Purdy.
Oh, right now, yeah.
Yeah, and
He's worth
gonna
a
get
seventh rounder.
He's
Yeah.
gonna get a big payday next year.
So okay, so off that, I disagree with these two on quarterbacks who are not worth the money because I know that their first pick is going to be Jordan Love.
Who?
But
Quarterback's not worth
Jordana.
Who's that guy? Who's that?
Jordana.
Never heard of him. He probably sucks.
So who'd be some quarterbacks that like are not worth the money? I have one surprising, or I don't know surprising, but like one that's like kind of a hot take.
Obvious. Dan Jones.
Dan Jones,
Huge. Yeah,
Tua.
Daniel Jones.
Tua,
Tua for
Trevor
Tua.
Lawrence.
Tua, I
Trevor
wouldn't
Lawrence.
put as bad as Daniel.
Yeah.
Or,
The value
or
that
Trevor
he brings
Lawrence.
to the team. Yes.
Because look at how they have been without him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I wouldn't put him as quite as Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence. But man, what about
Deshaun.
Deshaun? Oh,
Deshaun Watson was my next pick too.
yeah, Deshaun's.
Wow.
I mean, what about
Here's-
Dak Prescott?
He's worth it. I'll give him that.
Well, I don't know.
But he really
contract.
hasn't-
His new contract is kind of bad.
It's kind of bad. Like,
60
it's a
mil.
lot, yeah, but
it's a lot, and he really hasn't won a meaningful game in his career.
Defense right now, dog. So
Yeah, but that's why he's good.
I'm gonna give just a quick comparison to an MLB player here for the quarterback that I think is like a little bit surprising. So it's kind of a Byron Buxton type situation. Somebody who's not healthy. A lot of the times when he is healthy, he is a great player. Shows flashes of greatness. Led his team
Enrique,
to a Super Bowl.
oh,
I'm
I
going
know.
to go with Mr. Burr, Mr. Shiesty. I'm going to go Joe Burrow.
LSU.
I was just gonna say that.
Along with that, not the injured thing, but kind of having just a bad team around him is Justin Herbert. I think also somebody who's just not right now worth the money.
So I would give Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow a little bit more wiggle room.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Then,
But it's
but
Joe
it's
Burrow's
definitely
more
starting to get
understandable.
in.
Justin Herbert, he's never really been dealt a bad hand.
yeah.
Especially this year with a new head coach who historically loves to run the ball
Yeah.
in Harbaugh.
And they got rid of everything that he ever had. So
Yeah. But I mean, when you look
T.
at
Higgins
when
gonna
you
be
look
gone.
at Justin Fields' stats for besides this year and being injured for majority of last year, I mean he's up there with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
It's a good contract.
Burrow or
No, Fields.
oh,
All right. So, Josh, you had this question of a dynasty. Right now, we're looking at. I would consider them a dynasty just because we haven't seen outside of the Patriots like the modern kind of more modernized dynasty of KC. If they win the three-peat, even if they win like next year or something like that, it's a dynasty. So you had asked like who would be like the next dynasty after KC. I'm putting in like a team that would probably be a little bit on the younger side. Has a good coaching staff. Players love playing for that organization. My pick is going to be Houston.
ooh, good.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, you go.
I think if it wasn't for KC, this team would be in the exact same spot for them as where KC is.
San Fran.
Would be Buffalo.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
right,
great.
yeah.
That's okay. I thought you were going. I thought you were going to go.
No,
San Fran.
I'm going to say Buffalo just with Josh Allen and the younger quarterback. And now after trading Diggs, they've got a young wide receiver room.
Yeah.
And James Cook, they like their head coach. Their defense has always been Bills Mafia. They go
Yeah.
crazy.
Fans are amazing.
And
Dude, they are
if it
amazing.
wasn't for the Chiefs, I think Josh Allen would have at least a Super Bowl or two.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, what do you think here? Since this is your question, so you thought about this.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Who do you think is going to be?
I swear to God, if you say the Lions.
Oh God.
Say
Green
it.
Green Bay.
Shut up.
Bay. No, here's why.
Shut up.
It's a young team. Average age is what,
Shut
24 or something?
You
I
just
think,
told
it's, I
him.
think it's like
team.
23. Yeah, 23.6.
Young quarterback. If they could figure it out, they're a dangerous team right now.
I still
Rashawn
see-
Gary is one of the older guys on that defense, and he is as old as me.
Right.
Think
And he's a
about
little
that.
bit older. He's like 28.
He's 26.
Oh, is he?
He's a year
I thought he
older
was-
than-
Okay.
yep.
See, the problem I have with Green Bay, like obviously being a Packer fan, is like seeing the like Rodgers situation and how that panned out. Rodgers got a Super Bowl. They were always like the NFC team that you just did not want to see. Mm-hmm. But it's just like getting over that hump. Last year was kind of one of those anomalies that like they were a bad football team and they got into the playoffs. They were able to destroy Dallas.
We're a
Same situation.
They were sniffing a hoot away from
From the
coming to
championship.
Detroit and getting.
Yeah, except we know what happened the last time we played in Detroit. But yeah, same situation with the Lions against the Niners, just a couple plays away from advancing.
Do we agree we hate San Francisco?
Oh, absolutely. But the biggest problem with Green Bay is I think it's coaching and being able to get everybody bought in. And we've seen a lot of like LaFleur, just like he's a good game planner. We've seen it this year with the Malik Willis situation in those two games without Love, but
Which low key, I mean, the Malik Willis pickup for that trade. I mean,
How fast it came through,
how
though.
fast it came through and how talked Malik Willis was in the draft, and
Yeah.
you guys just got him for a bag of potato chips.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you kudos to that because that's pretty solid.
I'm knitting a sweater. You want to know what it's made out of?
Hmm.
Fleece.
All right, so our next question. A surprise team after having the number 2 overall pick in the draft this year. The Washington Commanders off to a very hot start.
They are off to a hot start.
Do we see them taking that division?
Yes. No.
That's hard.
Yes. I say yes.
They're gonna definitely make a push for it by the end of the year.
I'm gonna have to see like them in divisional games.
Yes.
Where are we? Cleveland.
And you always, I mean, Jaden Daniels, more of a mobile, lighter quarterback. One hit,
Great arm. Though.
one hit,
yeah.
and it could easily end their season.
So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say they're not gonna win the division.
I'm gonna go with no.
I'm gonna say this. So I looked at their schedule because I have it, and I give them about 7 more wins. So that gets them to 10-7, 11-6. Does that win the division? In the East, maybe. Because Philly, they don't know what they're doing. Dallas, they don't know what they're doing. The Giants, they are
Garbage.
The Giants.
So it's like, does 10 wins win the East?
It just depends on if Philly and Dallas wake up.
Right.
Well, if
And
they do
figure out
wake
what they're
up,
doing.
if they do wake up, they still have to play Washington 2 times late in the season.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's say you got 3 hot teams going for it, but Washington's up 2-3 games already. Mm-hmm. You could drop 2 of those games against either one of those teams and still squeak your way into first place. So
I could see them making a wild card versus taking their division for
yeah.
sure. But that division, I think, is going to get down to the wire at the end of the year.
Which, I'm going to sidetrack, detour, Big Red.
Ooh, Big Red.
Big Red hot take. Glad you said that division is terrible. Is the NFC North the best division in football?
Right now, yes. Because the only other division
Right
that
now.
I think would have been up there would have been the AFC North, but with Cleveland not playing up to par in terms of like how good their defense was last year and having another year with Deshaun figuring things out, just not playing how they should. I think Pittsburgh's kind of a fraudulent team. I mean, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record, so we could still see them like an 8 to 10 win team. I just don't think that they'll be a top level team. Cincy, one of those teams like Philly and Dallas, just they don't know their own identity. Baltimore, still a top team, but I don't think there's really any other division that has like 3 teams that could put out.
Yep.
Like other than maybe the East, if Philly and Dallas.
Well, and
wake
with
up.
everyone, all the
What about the South?
I'm not a fan of either side.
I'm not a fan of either South. Not a fan.
Are they better than the North? No. So I'm not. No.
Yeah.
Well, could you
What about the
imagine
AFC?
Could you imagine the North if Chicago was as good as they predicted Chicago to be?
Yeah, who's that? Who's that guy? That ball guy on NFL Network?
Adam Rank,
I hate that guy.
hate you.
Idiot.
Hate you. Okay, so an injury that happened last week that brought in a backup quarterback. You saw Anthony Richardson go down. You saw Joe Flacco come in, get a dub.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, old man, Joe Elite, still doing Joe Flacco things,
Getting it done.
getting it done.
Put respect on the name.
So the question here that I have, like Anthony Richardson, coming off injury last year, he looked really good. Just the way that things are shaping up in Indy, is there room for Joe Flacco to play, or do they just kind of stick with Richardson, just get that development still going, or do we give Richardson time, kind of learn behind Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco, I mean, he's won a Super Bowl, right?
He has won a Super Bowl.
He's a top level mind when it comes to the quarterback position. Is there anything more that Richardson needs to learn from him, sitting behind him, or do we just let Richardson go out and develop?
I think if you're the Colts, I don't really know if you. I think you let Richardson go out and keep doing what he's doing, and you let Joe Flacco be a backseat driver to what he's doing. But honestly, I don't know if Joe Flacco wants the start. He's an older guy that's won a Super Bowl. You know, he's making money as a backup quarterback. Just came in, got a win. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if Joe Flacco is really looking to make a Super Bowl push coming off as a backup quarterback. You know, surpassing the number one at his. No disrespect on Joe Flacco, but at his age, and with a mediocre Colts team, where he could
Is it worth it?
Where he could easily get lit up.
Yeah.
You know, and at his age, one bad hit, and he's done. So I guess I don't really know. I think you just kind of let Richardson do his thing.
You spent the pick on him, like a high pick. You got to let your guy go.
Everyone always talks about Peyton Manning's rookie year, you know, the 26, 28 interceptions that he threw. So, I mean, we see it in all the greats. It's just, are you going to let him
develop.
learn from his mistakes, or are you going to give up on him and let another team give a shot at it?
Right. Josh, you have anything else?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Because it's like, I heard Peyton Manning say it on Bussin' with the Boys, and he said, teams give up on quarterbacks before quarterbacks give up on teams.
Yeah.
And so it's
too.
it's that mindset. As tempting as it is to play with the hot hand and to play with the guy who's going to win you the games, I mean, long run, like you said, mediocre team. Give him the reins, let him do his thing, let him learn it, because then when that team is ready to make that push, when they are ready to take that step, because Houston's going to be at the top for a while. So now you're playing to beat Houston, then you have to play, obviously, the other elites in the AFC. So it's like, give him the time, get your guy, get him right, let him cook, and if he does play to his potential, that guy's going to be a beast. Yes. I think he's a bust, but again, it's super early in his career.
Well, he's got all the athletic ability. I really just think it depends on the coaching staff that is put around him to unlock that athletic potential ability, you know? Because the guy's
he's a freak athlete.
He's a freak athlete. I mean,
Oh,
he can
absolutely.
run. I mean,
And
he
his
can
voice
chuck
is
the
cool,
ball.
too.
I mean, he can air that ball out. So, I mean, I think it just really depends on the coaching staff.
And staying healthy, too.
I mean, you put him
Learn to
on.
slide.
You put him on the Chiefs team with Andy Reid. You never know.
You put him in the Philly team.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
You know,
He's a better version of Jalen.
You know, no diss on the Colts, but I think it might just be coaching. And
Same thing with Chicago, though. You know,
Yeah.
it's these teams that bounce around from coach to coach to coach because they haven't been good for so long. They're just trying to find the guy to get it right.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
By the time that happens, it's too late.
Yeah.
And so what do you do in that situation? You find a new guy. You take one of the coordinators. Like you take someone who's doing it at a high level on their team, and you plug it into your system. You know, but I digress.
So we're going to look at some way too early quarter of the season awards. Are we going to go so far, or are we going to go predictions for the end of the season? Probably so far.
Let's go so far.
All right, so I'm going to start off with the award. You guys give me your player. Who's your quarter of the season award for MVP?
Oof. As of right now?
As of right now, like 3-4 weeks.
I'm going to give it to Sam Darnold.
Okay.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. I'm also going to go with Sam Darnold. Offensive player of the year.
Ooh. Who's been lighting it up on offense?
Saquon.
Saquon's been good. I'm going to go with Jettas. I'm going to go JJ.
Yeah, I could see Jettis. I'm going to go... I can't go two Vikings, can I?
Yeah, you can.
I can go Jettis. I'll go Jettis.
All right, we're going defense player of the year.
Hutch.
Who's going to win defensive player of the year?
It's not.
No. Who's been it so far?
Right now?
So
I
far.
know.
Season ends today. Who is it?
If it ended today, who are you giving it to?
It's a tough one because there's a lot of dogs right now.
There is.
I said Hutch because
He is having a really
he's
good
the
year.
best. So
You go. Let me give me a minute to think.
oh, you're a terrible person.
Going Xavier McKinney.
He is a great player.
He is.
It
4
just
picks in 4
sucks.
games. I mean, come on.
It just sucks.
That is pretty lights out. Since you guys both went with your teams, I'm gonna go with Jonathan Grenard.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
sleeper. There you go.
All right, so we got rookie of the year. We'll go one offense, one defense. So we'll go offensive rookie of the year to start.
Jaden.
Who?
Jaden Daniels.
Oh, Jane
Daniels. Yep. Defensive.
Malik Neighbors.
Or
is
I
up
was
there.
gonna say Malik, but it's hard to beat a
Dude,
quarterback.
you know what's crazy
Yeah,
about
It's
both
hard
of
to beat a
them?
quarterback.
You know what's crazy about both of them? Thank you.
All right, defensive rookie of the year.
I'm gonna go with your boy at corner, who you drafted in the first round.
Oh, Tayon?
Yeah, Terrion Arnold. Who I thought the Vikings were gonna get, but surprised me and moved up to get Dallas Turner.
Yeah, he would have been I think he was my through the year pick with Dallas Turner.
He's my through the year pick, but Terrion Arnold has been playing some pretty nice man-to-man football right now at the corner slot. So I'm gonna.
Defense is hard because there's not like a lot of like
Defensive
top
player is
rookies
not-
right now.
Nobody's really standing out to me.
Yeah, there's no name that like comes
Well, and
to
it's
mind
hard
right now.
because Turner has missed a game. He did get a sack against the Giants.
There's got to be somebody we're
I think
missing though.
who's lighting it up.
There's
I know
gotta
there's
be
a couple corners out there. Yeah, I'll probably go Arnold too. Just keep it on
Yeah,
safe
I'll take
bet.
it. I'll take Arnold. Otherwise, I like Q.
Yeah.
Quinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comeback player of the year.
Sam.
Ooh, yeah. Sam Darnold. Could he win MVP
That's-
and come back?
That's hard because you got Sam, you got Aaron, you got Kirk.
Yeah.
All those guys could win comeback player of the year.
Not Kirk. Kirk's dead to me. I don't even see him
Well,
anymore.
I don't like Kirk either, being a Minnesota fan and him leaving for Atlanta, but
I'd have to go Kirk too.
He did tear his ACL last year and
Achilles, yeah.
Achilles. Yep, sorry. And if he takes the Falcons, who were garbage last year, to the playoffs this year, that
Yeah, I'll take Kirk
They're
there.
terrible.
All right, last award, Coach of the Year. I'm gonna start this one off.
KOC.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Kevin O'Connell.
KOC.
I'm gonna go. No, yeah, KOC.
It's KOC.
It's
Yeah,
KOC.
it's KOC.
Playing out his mind.
He had
Yeah.
a great year as head
Playing out
coach.
his
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. Especially like going into a year where Minnesota Vikings fans were kind of talking like, contracts up. We haven't done shit. But now,
Couple other controversy guys. You could throw out there Mike McDonald of Seattle. You
Yeah.
could throw out there Mike Tomlin of Pittsburgh. And then you also could throw. Oh, I just lost it. Freaking hated. Dan Quinn, Commanders.
oh yeah, Dan Quinn. Yes,
All of them I could see winning.
I would say it's KOC right now.
Yeah, I'd say right now it's KOC.
All right, so after that, we got our predictions, got through some questions. Yeah, week 4.
Mitchell, are you excited for Week 5?
I am very excited for Week 5.
Mitchell,
We got a game in London.
If you want the Vikings to win, what is the one thing you want to see out of that game?
I want to see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers so frustrated that he is screaming at Salah on the sidelines.
I wouldn't mind that because you heard what Brock Purdy said, where he's like, "Dude, a crazy scheme." So it's
Crazy
like,
scheme.
if you can trick a guy like Aaron Rodgers,
If you
You're
can
onto
get,
something.
and we've seen it before at Vikings and Packers, if you get Aaron Rodgers frustrated, he's either going to come out and light you ass up,
Or he's gonna yell at
or
Salah.
he is going to crumble
Yeah,
and lose his mind on the field.
yeah.
And
I think with I'm not gonna say that like the talent around him is bad because it's not, but it's not like he doesn't have a guy. He doesn't have Jordy. He doesn't have Devontae.
which I'm not even going to give you that because he's got Garrett Wilson. Who,
They're not even Garrett Wilson right now is not touching. He's not even touching Jordy, let alone Devontae.
Yeah, but there's so much potential there. Like, look at what Garrett Wilson was doing with Zach Wilson for the last couple of years.
He can
Wilson to
force the
Wilson.
ball. But yeah,
So, I mean-
no. I'm gonna say that the Vikings are going to win the game, and I think it's gonna be more of Rodgers being absolutely pissed off. Like one dropped ball, and he's going to be
Pissed.
red in the face.
one false start, cadence is too
Yep.
too hard. Can't
Yep.
keep your hands to yourself there.
When
buddy.
there's just so much
crap that's going on.
headbutting in that organization right now, and then being flown across the sea to
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a rough one.
Across
All right,
the
do we got anything else before we sign off here?
I don't know.
I'm
Do you have
good.
anything else?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Well, Mitchell, thank you for joining our predictions.
Yes.
I'm very happy that you are a Vikings fan.
Hey, go Wolves tonight, man.
And go Wolves.
Got first preseason game against the Lakers and first shot at seeing Bronny James Jr.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will be back.
We'll be back
Soon.
More Mitchell more Mitchell to come. Obviously, he's our guy.
Yeah.
These are my
and
boys.
Then more Vikings, more Packers, more Lions, more NFC North
Long
talk,
season.
more everything. A little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. But yeah, good show, guys. I'm really happy that you were able to join us. I'm really
Yes.
happy that
Yeah, thanks for being here.
that you lost this
Thanks
week.
for having me.
And we are starting something new for predictions. Whoever loses, the other person gets to decide a punishment via dress of the other person. So if
You'll see,
Bailey loses this week, I got something good for him.
Oh,
And
don't worry.
If
I
I,
got some.
lose, won't happen. Then
Ooh, a little bit of a wager going on there.
yeah, we're like that.
We'll see Josh probably in a dress here soon. So
Which one of you are getting in the tutu?
Probably me. So I'll do that without any push. So
all right, a little bit of a longer episode, but thank you for sticking around. We appreciate you guys very much.
shout out Big Red, shout out Jake, shout out Cass.
Shout out Kyle. Shout out to Nate, my guys.
Shout out
Anybody?
to Jake.
Shout out
to
Paige.
Hi, Paigey.
Boom, boom, boom.